Good evening, my brother.
Hi, good evening. Anil, I hope you're hearing me okay. Let me begin by congratulating you on the wonderful job you're doing and the enormous sacrifice and diligence and enormous work that goes into these programs. And I wish you all the best in the future so you can continue this type of work to the betterment of our great country.
Now, talk to me about the main first issue. You brought up some serious allegations which I believe are the most dangerous, damning accusations about oppression, dictatorship, lack of separation of powers. It hits every note of anti-democracy philosophy that I have ever read. The appointing or the appointment of private citizens to investigate the police. Talk to me.
Well, Anil, I made the point on the last Monday night forum that it is wrong. It is not only improper, but I believe it is fundamentally illegal for the Prime Minister to be appointing individual private citizens to investigate police officers in a constitutionally protected Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And I will explain why. The law establishes a police complaints authority to inquire and investigate matters pertaining to the conduct of police officers. The Police Service Commission only has responsibility for the Commissioner of Police and the Deputy Commissioners of Police as it relates to discipline. In the police, you have something called the Professional Standards Bureau that investigates time and time again the conduct of police officers. Private citizens are not empowered in law. They do not have any authority at all, any locus, any status to investigate the behavior, the conduct, the workings of police officers or any division in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Now, that is wrong. Today we got the information, as you know, that the Police Complaints Authority has now officially advised that they are investigating the issuance of firearms and so on in a department or a unit of the TTPS. Now, while I have no difficulty with that, the Police Complaint Authority can do that. They're entitled to do that. They're empowered to do such an investigation. To me, it is a waste of time. It is a waste of resources. We live in a country where the government is expending enormous monies trying to figure out, investigate how firearms came into the hands of lawful citizens, of citizens who obey the law, of innocent citizens. They want to inquire how firearms get into the hand of lawful citizens, but they are not concerned with how thousands of guns get into the hands of criminal elements. That is the issue they should be concerned about, not how law-abiding citizens get firearm. It is how criminal elements get firearm. That is the issue. Now, the other matter is that I have called on Rear Admiral Hayden Prashad earlier in this week and one retired senior superintendent, Arthur Barrington, from the special branch to identify themselves. It is my understanding that they were appointed to conduct an investigation into the issuance of firearms in the TTPS. This is extra constitutional. The Prime Minister has been abusing his authority from day one. Anil, you will recall the Prime Minister takes the position as chairman of the National Security Council. I believe there was a time in the partnership administration where you, Anil, would have attended those meetings to provide information, to provide detail and so on different matters. That is chaired by the Prime Minister, but that is a policy-making subcommittee of cabinet. That is not an operational arm of law enforcement. The Prime Minister has misinterpreted, misdirected himself into believing that the National Security Council is an operational arm of law enforcement. It is not. It is a committee of cabinet, just as the Finance and General Purposes Committee. We had a committee for social policy and so on. That is not operation. So the National Security Council and its chairman cannot appoint anyone to investigate anything. It is the police that investigates in this country. If you have knowledge or you believe you have information on criminal wrongdoing and so on, you can write the DPP. The DPP in our law can look at the allegations, the evidence, information, and he can call upon the police to conduct an investigation into any matter. So the DPP has the power. The Police Complaints Authority has the power. But Rowley appoints two gentlemen who, I don't know how we know them or when he know them, he appoints them to investigate. That is unlawful, it is unethical, it is improper. Now we are told, and I want to bust the mark on your program now because I have a few things to say that is new information to add to this business. We are now being told that there may not be any report in the first place, that there may be no report, no institution of law enforcement have any report at this time on the issuance of firearms. It may well be that these gentlemen go on in the computer and type up what you call a letter or a memo or something, call people name, indicate that they have information A, B, and C is involved in wrongdoing and so on, but there is no report. And today, I have just issued a statement to the press, and I'll repeat it. I call upon the Prime Minister to lay the report of Mr. Pritchard and Mr. Barrington in the Parliament. There's a joint select committee on national security of the Parliament. Lay the Pritchard and Barrington report before that committee. Let us look at their report. What are they saying? What did they investigate? What authority did they have? There's a fascinating matter. When you apply for firearm, for example, you have to give personal information, personal data, business, and so on, what business you are involved in. And they may make supplemental notes concerning your international business, your local business, what job do you do, for example. Those are confidential matters. Those are confidential and private files in the possession of the firearm department of the police. That is not meant to be scrutinized and revised by private citizens. Is it that Rear Admiral Pritchard and Mr. Barrington had access to private and confidential files of 50,000 applicants for a firearm? That is a fascinating, that is a frightening prospect, because those files have other type of information. The police has a duty when they are processing applications to ask questions, to inquire, to put information if they believe someone is not proper. Someone may have a nefarious background or something.
Let me add there, Rudal, that the information when you are applying for a firearm license also, you have to get a psychological profile. So you have to go to a psychologist, and this is your private health information and report from a psychologist to say that you are okay to own a firearm, that you're not suffering from any form of mental illness or affliction. They have to go and interview your wife home, check your house, look inside, see how many children you have. All of this information is there.
So they may have a diagram of your house where you are keeping a firearm and so on. They may have a diagram, a description of the internal structure of your house, your bedroom. That may be in the file. Now, I want to tell you, I have never applied for a firearm. As you know, a lion don't need a firearm. But I've never applied. But many people have applied, and I'm informed that that is the kind of secret and confidential information that you have in the file. Is it that private citizens were allowed to access 50,000 files, 5,000 applicants recently, and go through their secret confidential documents about their house, their design of their house, their banking business, their business, and so on? That speaks volumes. This is why I'm calling for that report before the Joint Select Committee of Parliament on National Security. The Prime Minister must do that. While that is happening, the Minister of National Security is saying absolutely nothing about this calamity that now befall us as a country. And I would get to him just now. You saw the front page of a newspaper. I was shocked. And I was shocked when I read that Fitzgerald Ethelbert Hines, new minister, is now saying the police and law enforcement operating at 40%. But he has been fired from 4 ministries. He is operating on 5% or less. He has been fired 4 times. And now talking about the police, talking about the army and so on. Let me repeat, and I put in the statement too, this is a government that has slashed and slaughtered the budget of the TTPS. When they asked for $500 million for services and goods, they got 20% or 25% of that. They cannot pay their bills. There was a time when landlords in this country wanted to throw out police from building. They cannot pay phone bill. They cannot pay utility bills. They cannot pay rent. They cannot fix car. They own garages for fixing car and so on. They're boasting about maritime patrol unit and so on. They cannot buy a RAF for that unit. So that you smother the police, you deny them the resources, and now you say they're not performing. Look at the Coast Guard. All the boats down Chagaramas park up down there. They don't have fuel. They don't have manpower. They cannot patrol because you are not providing the resources while you spend $20 million to upgrade the Prime Minister residence in Tobago so that he could go to live full time in Tobago and leave the rest of the Waltons family in Port of Spain Diplomatic Center. So you starve resources from the national security apparatus. If you look at the army, everywhere there's a complaint about resources, and it is an act of hypocrisy for Fitzgerald Hines to be telling the security forces they're performing under par while he himself has been starving them of resources, and he himself is a non-performer.
On that point, Rudal, because we have been in a state of emergency for over 120 something days. Lockdown. We have had lockdown after lockdown, shutdown and broke down. We have had the country on a shutdown with no movement, no businesses open, no bars, no cash moving and so on. Yet in a state of emergency, we are seeing crime spiraling out of hand, especially since Ethelbert has sworn in.
The government and Ethelbert Hines have absolutely no clue on how to deal with crime. Absolutely none. They are in a game, they are in a campaign, in a plot to undermine the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. In fact, it is the government that is undermining the police service in Trinidad and Tobago because they are undermining the application of Gary Griffith. Everybody knows that. That is the most worst kept secret in this country today. That is why Hines stated today 40% of the police only working, 60% not working. What you are doing is making an aspersion, casting aspersions on the incumbent and acting commissioner of police, Gary Griffith, because he was responsible for 3 years. Today, for example, I expected Hines to give some program, some policy, some inspirational leadership to the law enforcement community so that they can take their vaccines. Their vaccination rate is very low, and they are frontline workers. Many police officers have lost their lives to a preventable virus called COVID-19. It is preventable, but the police and other arms of national security have been slow to take the vaccines, and Hines says nothing about this. He's concerned with the performance, which he cannot measure, which he has not measured. And this is the scandal that Fitzgerald Hines today placed this country in. So I asked him clearly to tell us, are you undermining the Commissioner of Police? Yes or no? Will you bring that document, the report of Barrington and Prashad, that report, would you bring it to the National Security Joint Select Committee? Yes or no?